started off on Wednesday with probably GIVENCHY was the biggest show of the day. Riccardo Tisci finally getting his groove. He did a show that was inspired by the Latin Gothic, which I guess comes from his Catholic heritage. There was lots of kind of Spanish influences. The models came out in a lot of tailored black pieces, like in the beginning with tons and tons of chains wrapped around their neck, and it kind of went on to have lots of frilly sheer shirts and some beautiful jackets, white jackets with black applique and big gemstones, which was very cool. The next morning we had Stella McCartney. Stella is always a good one for the girls because she always makes clothes that women just love to wear. So there were all the usual must-haves. She had a big wraparound jacket in a kind of thick felt with the belt wrapped around the waist, which we've seen a lot from the designers. The usual jumpsuits and some beautiful, beautiful dresses, some cute short cocktail dresses that were brocade with sheer pleated chiffon over them, which I'm sure will be a hit in Hong Kong when they come out. Later on that day, we had Valentino, which it was the first show by their new designer, Alessandra Fascinetti. She took over from when Valentino retired last season. And she actually did a very respectful tribute. There was, all the usual details of lances, the frills, the show-stopping red gowns. But at the same time, she really went ahead to modernize the house with some beautiful military-inspired suits, but still with, all the couture details with the draping. Beautiful shapes, evening gowns came with, flats, albeit flats with lots of bling, but still, she probably did Val proud, I would have thought. To end off the day, we had Yves Saint Laurent, which probably was the best show in Paris for me. Stefano Pilati's always been very respectful to YSL's legacy, but this time he brought it into his own. The girls came out in short black wigs with dark wraparound sunglasses, and it was just a beautifully modern show. Basically, the beauty of all the clothes were that they were very tailored, but, he added weight and construction, through fabric to the beautiful jackets that moved against the body, tweeds, that underneath had a beautiful contrasting colored lining. And, the smoking was updated with tails in the back, which was great. Chanel kicked off Friday morning. Karl Lagerfeld had a big carousel in the middle of the show. Instead of horses, he had, all the Chanel icons, so the handbag, the cuffs, the pearls. It was a very modern show as well. He had, the tweed suits were there, but instead of being prim and proper, they had like distressed areas, like in the elbows. The fabric was kind of all sheared. He had some beautiful long black jumpers paired with distressed and torn denim mini skirts. There's a bit of a bondage theme as well, with some beautiful long dresses with leather strips kind of crossing over the front of the torso. There were no bags in the show, which was great, because I guess the designers are kind of going back to basics, which is nice to see. CHLOÉ, Paolo Mellon Anderson did a little bit more to bring the house forward. It was very CHLOÉ, lots of chiffon and plenty of embellishments, including fur embellishments, which I'm sure will go down well in Hong Kong. At HERMES, Jean-Paul Gaultier took a more kind of elegant stance, unlike his own show, which had loads of fur. He had lots of beautiful tailored pieces as well, very luxe in the Hermes fashion, cashmere and leather. But he added a bit of color with some Liberty-style paisley prints and fringes on, the ends of skirts, asymmetrically cut, which was a nice touch to the show. The last day were all the big guns, but two of the best were probably the Louis Vuitton show, which started almost on time, which was a big shock. And Marc Jacobs kind of did a different thing this season. The color palette was very icy. It was like icy colors, like icy blue, like a pale green, a pale pink. But he focused a lot on the hips, adding a lot of volume from the hips, but not from front on, from the side, basically where he pleated and draped the material so it kind of looked like a bustle hanging out from the side, which was quite cool. Probably the final show and the big show was LANVIN, which of course was always beautiful. Albaz always does a beautiful job. This time he focused a lot on tiers, different kind of ruffled tiers on each outfit. But he's made it modern by still using, the latex, the patent leather. He did some beautiful, beautiful embellishments on one dress that just embellished completely with silver and gold crystals. But the big thing at the show was the big chunky jewelry, the big crystal jewelry, which is a big trend we're seeing now in Paris. The jewelries are the new handbags, so that's something fun for people to look forward to next season. So to round off the week, I think this wasn't as exciting as past fashion weeks, but it is for winter. But there was a lack of color this season. But saying that, the designers tend to go back to the important thing, which were the clothes. you know, more focus on beautifully tailored clothes, even though there's a very prim and proper feeling in a lot of the shows. You know, it still showed that the designers were experimenting in terms of fabrics and shapes, which was great. The parties were always good. Of course, there were lots of celebrities. We saw Rihanna, we saw the Olsen twins, Kanye West was at every show. So this week, I'm sure the trends that we've seen will end up in all the stores come September, and there'll be plenty to choose from, which will be exciting for fashion. This is Divya Harlila reporting from Paris and from the South China Morning Post.